Continuing in December 2025, Patrick Lecture quotes on giving and receiving. This week, I've centered around the idea that giving is a yes current, receiving is a yes current, and that you need a giving and receiving. You need two yes currents to create one mutuality. Yes currents, it's easier to feel them. It's easier to sense them in your body as an open, flowing movement. You may also feel it as a push, as a compulsion, as an obligation, feeling it pulled out of you. And receiving is the same way. You may feel that you have to wall off the receiving and filter it and slow it down, or you may be grabby about the receiving. These are not yes currents, they're uh, let's call them toddler yes currents. They can become yes currents. They're going to need some training, they're going to need some practice, and they need to be relaxed into as something we can trust, we're willing to explore rather than an absolute, what's the right way, what's the wrong way. So it's an expansive movement, the yes current, an expansive movement. It's met by the other expansive movement so that both people are communicating. Now, how I select monthly topics is I try to find a yes current for a topic. I may read or go through or look at or glance or play with. Sometimes it's 5 or 10 different lectures, and they just don't sing to me. They're not something I want to spend a month on, not this month or the coming month. Um, and other topics grab my interest right away. I can have an idea, I go look at the lecture, and there's immediate yes to it. And it becomes a flow and it's easy, and the examples come to me, and the associated lectures come to me. How the structure looks comes as I'm reading through it. So that if I attempt to say, I've spent enough time, let's just do this, it's just not as much fun. I don't give as much. And I think it's felt on the other side. It's not a disaster. It can happen. It's the difference between really feeling good about presenting a meal and feeling like people are hungry and I have to serve at 5 o'clock. And you just go through the motions, but your heart's not in it, and it's just not great. Versus when you're inspired to make something a little more memorable, a little more loving. So there are a lot of examples of this. One of the ones I find is that when I don't shop very often. When I do shop and I find something perfect, I get on a cycle of wanting to keep shopping. I want that high again. I want that feeling of perfection again. And I usually just wear it into the ground. I ruin the experience trying to repeat it. So you can't force this. You can identify it when it's forced and try to work with it. These are where techniques and tools come in, not to do it for you, but to help you adjust it, to make it a more mature interaction than it starts off being. For instance, the phrase, it's better to give than to receive. It's great for small children. They're being taught how to move from infantile self-centeredness into a more give and take, interactive social network. They're going to need some help. They need training wheels. They need something to lean on, rules and regulations to lean on. It's not a good idea to take toddler rules and make them the law of the land, to make them part of the social fabric, because they're restrictive. It's not always better to give than to receive. The two aren't separate in the first place. So even the phrase makes them separate and encourages that very separation. So it's handy for a civilization that needs training wheels. It's handy for families and individuals. And when we grow out of it, we want to enjoy the freedom, just as most of you have felt the freedom of being an adult, of choosing what you spend your time on, your money on, your efforts on, choosing your friends, choosing your workplace, choosing your entertainment. choosing what you do in your leisure time. These are priceless um, results of becoming a mature human being and taking care of the necessities. But it takes a while to get there. Spiritually, same thing happens. Uh, so, not admitting or realizing our no is also an issue. Now, not realizing our no leads us to judge others for their no. So, I don't have it. If there's a problem, it must be because of you. Can very often happen because we are either blind to our no or we are denying our no. Why do you deny something? Because it frightens you, because you don't understand it, because you think you have something to protect. So whenever you're in defense of any kind, you're not in the free flow of a yes current. You cannot truly give and you cannot truly receive. But life doesn't have to be perfect moment to moment. You have good days and bad days. So not admitting our no causes us to judge others more harshly than we might if they were performing a standard human reaction that we also share. We can phrase it like that. That's very human. It's unfortunate that it happened, but I can understand that and we can move forward. Um, so the other way is when we cannot say no. Again, that can be conscious or unconscious. We may not be aware that we are unable to say no. Even saying the word doesn't have any power. It doesn't work. People ignore it. And so we feel like we're not able to do it when the truth is we're not willing to stand up for it. We're not willing to defend it in terms of saying this is a boundary, this is my decision. I'll give a little bit here and there, but I'd like my decision to be respected on some level, even if I have to concede to a day-to-day reality. And the last 2 points were using will and intellect to try to love others. That's not love. That can build love. It can lead you down the road to love. It can enable love to flower. But will and intellect are not love. They're how we carry out. It's how we do the daily routines that add up to a loving relationship. And the loving too much is when we are giving to get. We don't feel like we get, so we give more and give more. People can feel this. They can feel us constantly knocking on the door, begging, and trying to manipulate or coerce them into giving us what we need. The idea there is this is because you're not able to give it to yourself, so you're trying to get it from the outside. Once you are able to give to yourself, it's lovely to be given to by others, but it is not earth-shattering to not be given. It's not the end of the world. It's not a threat to you not to be given. It diminishes your pleasure, but there is still pleasure in being able to give to yourself. So loving too much is because there's an imbalance and we're trying to redress it. Receiving too much, being greedy, is just the other side of the coin. It's just a place where we feel that we have a need and it must come from others directly. And if they don't give it to us, they don't love us. When the truth is, if we don't love ourselves, other people's love can't be received. So this is all wrapped up with giving and receiving. Hope you enjoy the quotes, and I hope you enjoy being able to apply them to whatever holiday you celebrate during December. So thanks for listening and take care.